subject because the thing I think Zack Snyder pointed this out too, that said it better than I could, so you could find it in his interview. But he's like, which Superman are you talking about? You know, if we're
Right.
doing an origin story of Superman, there's 4 or 5 origin stories of
Right.
Superman told by different people.
Right.
We're just doing it this way.
Right.
You know, you'd never really. I think his idea too is you don't tell the story of the comics. That's already been told. You already got that. We're going to tell you a different story. Now, Marvel may have to abide a little more toward it because they're doing Infinity War Saga or the Age of Ultron and stuff like that.
Still
So people
different.
expect
Yeah.
it to be
No, it's
really
told different.
close.
It's
Yeah, it's
they're
told different.
close. They're
Yeah, but I'm
close-ish.
saying they may have to try to abide closer
I see what you're saying.
because in DC right now, anyway, it's just Man of Steel. The Batman didn't say Batman Year One. If they'd
No.
have done that,
No.
they'd
Yeah.
probably get a lot more criticism from people that
Yeah.
are comics,
You're right. You're right. Because
hard.
it was actually influenced. Here's what's funny. Why can't I remember this dude's name who directed Batman? I'm drawing a blank now. I just drew a
Matthew
blank.
Reeves.
Yes. So one of his college professors actually wrote the story of Batman that he pulled his influence from, and he did not know his college professor was the one that wrote that series of Batman, which was interesting. So it was influenced by Batman Year One, but that wasn't necessarily the overarching, story he pulled
Right.
from. Yeah.
And that's why again it's good he didn't say this is Batman Year One.
Right.
Because then that's where you get those expectations.
Very true.
Even doing Man of Steel, for me, that's how they restarted Superman was the Man of Steel series in the comics. And for that, like I said, they did well as far as homaging it and not making it exactly the same story. He's telling a different story. And then Batman vs. Superman, whether it's drawn from Flashpoint, which unfortunately I've never read Flashpoint, so I don't know when people reference it, what
You
they're
could
talking about.
watch the cartoon. It's great. I
I
would
think
just
I
watch
have watched that, and I may have missed the Batman
versus
fight
Superman.
scene.
Yeah, it's in there. I would watch
But
that. That's yeah.
I'll look for it again. But of course, I don't have HBO Max anymore. But I'll see what I can find though. But I always, of course, took it as more of an homage to The Dark Knight Returns because they do have the battle in that and the armor in that and stuff like that. And again, I'd sit there and think it's homages. It's really like pointing to this and
Not an
pointing to
exact
that.
telling. Yeah.
Not exact telling.
Right.
The Lex Luthor, started out with hair, according to people in the John Byrne run. He has hair and balding on top, and he's got hair to begin with. And he's got red hair. So, it's all, to me, I give a lot more credence to that Lex Luthor than I hear a lot of people giving. But most people I hear wanting a different Lex Luthor, for some reason, want the Gene Hackman type Lex Luthor, and or Kevin Spacey sort of. That's just.
So do you think one of the bigger problems with a lot of these movies is maybe not necessarily the movies themselves, but the expectations? Like if I was a director, how could I meet every fan's expectation? Somebody is going to be mad. So I think to some degree, maybe we need to accept that, okay, he didn't go in a direction I necessarily would have gone. But let's say me as a comic book geek, like I've read the Jane Foster Thor run. Maybe I would have went in a direction that other people who read the run wouldn't have liked. You can't please everyone. That's pretty much my point is how
Right.
can you
So
please everyone?
how much time do you have to tell that story is kind of the question. My impression when I was hearing that was like, she's going to take over being Thor. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I think for me, the movie played better because my expectation was like, why do they want to to me, Thor is probably my favorite character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe because I can't get the Hulk to become my favorite. So
one thing about that. So Paramount had the rights for 15 years from 2008 to 2023. MCU can do Hulk.
Oh, I did not realize that.
it was Universal, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Or Universal, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So yeah,
So they're probably gonna.
Maybe they're trying to set it up. They should have set it up better than they did. I know you said you didn't watch She-Hulk. Good idea. Maybe just watch the last two.
Episode 8. Yeah, episode 8 was the best so far.
Episode 8's the most recent.
It's
Is that the one with Daredevil?
The finale. That's
yeah,
all.
it's the one with Daredevil.
Okay, yeah. That's good.
If you want, I mean, they feel really short. So just to digress for a moment, you could watch them. Expect to only enjoy about 1.5 minutes of each show. The first one's pretty good.
I'm going to tell you where I checked out.
A good setup, I think.
When I saw the clip of She-Hulk twerking with Megan Thee Stallion, I was done. I was like, yeah, that's it.
Third or fourth episode.
I was like, yeah, I'm not watching it. That's it. I was like, that's all I needed to see. I've already.
You could watch the first one because that's the origin. There's a couple things in there you won't really care about. It's too quick over.
Okay.
And some of it ain't that great, but that's fairly good. And then, like I said, if you watch every show, expect to enjoy 2 to 3 minutes maybe of it. Okay. Try not to watch the end scenes. That's one of the end scenes. You won't see it if you do that. So, especially the one where she's in the show for a half a second. That's the one that you don't want to watch the end scene for. But yeah, 2 or 3 minutes for each show. You'll like this just real quick moment, and you'll get the story with a bit here and
a bit there,
and yeah, in episode 8, and then we're waiting for 9 to come out and actually be pretty good. There's still stuff in episode 8 I don't like, but it's the first one that my children got excited to watch the next episode. And overall it was better. You know, poor CGI and everything else, very bad writing and a lot of stuff.
That's what just from the clips I saw, that's what I terrible. Got. And I was like, you know what?
Woke agenda. Well, if you want to use that word.
No, I mean, I don't mind. I can definitely say She-Hulk definitely had the woke agenda for sure. Like the only reason I hesitated to say that when it comes to the Batman comic book is because I didn't really know if it was so much wokeness or just trying to, because sometimes writers try to force things that's not necessarily a matter of wokeness. It's a matter of interest, right? Like if I'm a comic writer and I have an interest, let's say I'm a vegan, and I've brought this up before, and I force a vegan story in my book, it's not necessarily woke. It's just my interest that I want to force. So I don't think that was necessarily the case. But with She-Hulk, yeah, I definitely saw. I was like, nah, this is wokeness, like all the way, 100% ultra woke.
You can just call it agendas, whoever's, you know.
Yeah.
The worst of the worst, probably, but. And no, I don't think it's actually gotten to the worst of the worst yet, but bad enough. But yeah, just so you know, if you do want to watch She-Hulk, watch the first one, 8th, and wait for the 9th. Hopefully the 9th is going to be really good. And maybe they'll fix all the problems for season 2 if they even do that. Or maybe they're just introducing a way to get Hulk on the big screen with multiple colored Hulks and She-Hulk and something like that. That might be pretty cool.
They have
get away.
They should adapt the show that I watched as a kid, Hulk and the Agents of Smash.
Wow. Hulk and the Agents of Smash. You know what they
2024.
What they could have done much better was World War Hulk. That was a missed opportunity, in my opinion, with Marvel, because the way they did Hulk and the Other Planet and Ragnarok and all of that, I was like, man, you really missed an opportunity for World War Hulk. But at that time, Disney didn't own Fox, so they didn't have rights to Professor X, which was part of the Illuminati. It was it Professor X, Reed Richards, Magneto, Iron Man. There was somebody else I'm missing. That was all part of the Illuminati that sent Hulk to that, off world, and that's where the whole World War Hulk came from. And I get it. They couldn't make like we
Black Panther.
Was it Black Panther? Yeah, I knew there was somebody else
think
was
so.
part of the Illuminati. And I knew they couldn't do an exact adaptation, but when they used that for that story, I was like, oh my goodness, you could have used this somewhere else and it could have been so much better. You could have waited until an Incredible Hulk movie and used this. To use this now is just such a missed opportunity. But that's just me. That's just a geek complaint, really.
Yeah, and that's that binding that Marvel has because it sold all its characters and just this. They're waiting for Hulk to be able. It's greed on their parts. They could do it still. They just have an agreement to give others more money than they're going to make.
Right. So there's a I get it. You're a company. If you're a company and you're not in a business to make money, well then you're why do you have a business? So I get it in that regard. You got to make money, but you don't have to completely abandon like good art in order to make money. You can do it and do this right. Like those two things can exist at the same time, which a lot of these companies tend to think, obviously, that, well, we have to just put this out no matter what it is, just so we can make a lot of money. And it's like, wait, hold on a minute. You could actually do this right and make money at the same time. And my opinion is that they would actually make more money in the long run, because one of the things
they're short-sighted,
right? One of the things Marvel did right, and this is why they made so much money over the years with their movies, is it was a slow rollout. You think that first Iron Man came out in 2008? And then from then, with all of those movies moving forward, releasing slowly but surely and building up, and every movie made more money than the last movie, and the story kept building, and you kept seeing the end credit scenes. And that first end credit scene, when I saw Thanos, I was already hyped because I knew exactly. I was like, Infinity War. Immediately, I was like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe they're going to do this. And it took them years, and I was there for every moment. It didn't have to be quick. And I think the quick money, like you said, to me, in some ways, again, I understand your business, you got to make money. But the problem is, if money is your only motivation, you're going to screw this up. You're going to screw it up. It's going to be trash.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that I've had over the years. It's like, yes, money is in there, but let's figure out a way to have a balance between making money and telling a good story.
Some kind of long-term plan. They had a long enough term plan at the time, and it does seem like now they're kind of letting things go. If they're able to get the rights back where next year they could release a Hulk movie, they should have been building up Hulk. They've been tearing down Hulk rather than building him up. Yeah. Now we're off in the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
but it does focus on the things with DC, because, like I said, that's really where the issues come in, and I think they're overblown more than anything else, because it's the remembrance of Justice League is there.
I agree with Carson. I don't even remember the cinematic release. The director's cut is all I recognize. The cinematic release doesn't exist to me.
Well, and what I mean by the remembrance of it is that we see all that. If you can see all the behind the scenes, you see the people wanting what they wanted. That's what you got, was a makeshift Marvel movie trying to do what Marvel did with DC characters and rewriting the history of it too. It's like that, that's they want this blue and red Superman, suit, where Zack Snyder's pushing for the black suit. Same one.
I like it.
And they could have had both in the thing, and they could have headed in that direction. There's a whole lot of speculation because we're really not very far, in the DC universe. So, like what I'm saying is like overblown is people do remember that that Justice League came out and was a flop, you know. And what well, let me say as far as overblown too, to be clear about what overblown means. If you look up Superman Returns, they
Right.
say it cost this much money. All this budget was in Superman Returns. I'm like, where is all that money they said they put into Superman Returns? It wasn't that. They put it into the Superman with Nicolas Cage and another Justice League movie and stuff like that. They put in all this production value into it. And they say, okay, well, we can't.